Well, Microsoft has issued a global alert warning of active cyber attacks targeting its SharePoint server software, widely used by government agencies and businesses to share documents internally. A critical vulnerability is being exploited, affecting institutions around the world, including, like we said, South Africa's National Treasury. While operations remain unaffected, Treasury officials are working with Microsoft to contain the threat and secure their systems. To unpack what this means for our national financial security, we're joined by Sibusiso Sishi, Technical Director at Ironsky. Thanks for joining us. Good afternoon.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Can you explain the nature of Microsoft SharePoint vulnerability and how cyber criminals exploited it to target the likes of the National Treasury?
Without getting too technical on the vulnerability itself, it came out about last week Saturday. The exploit that is came out last week Saturday, and basically allows a person who does not have username and a password to get access to the server to basically just exploit the internet-facing SharePoint environment and get full access onto the underlying operating system of that machine. And then obviously once they have access to the underlying operating system, they can start installing their malware, which is what National Treasury also just spoke about right now, is that they just install malware and it allows them to start moving around laterally on the network. So even though the malware was detected, I would still recommend that for National Treasury to start looking at the other systems as well, because these things are being happening around the world.
What are the potential risks to South Africa's financial security posed by the cyber attack, and how severe could the consequences actually be?
So there's both of the ease of use, and I just saw like maybe about 30 minutes ago there's a module created for Metasploit, which means that script kiddies now can even start using the exploits as well. And just because of the ease of the exploit, they literally just have to just put in a URL, and then they'll just say exploit, and then they'll get access to it. So it is very critical that every organization who's got an internet-facing SharePoint environment to upgrade, and then also just make sure that they have not been compromised, because as stated, the vulnerability has been out for quite some time. And it has really been, even before the exploit being out, it's been said that APTs were using it extensively. So it's going to have a very, very big, it can have a very, very big financial implication, because it can allow them to store ransomware and then also extract out sensitive information from the organization.
That sounds really worrying. So how effective are the current measures being taken by the National Treasury and Microsoft to mitigate the malware and secure the systems?
So according to Microsoft, they really released a patch to basically patch up the system. So I would just recommend that you just go to if you are running an on-prem SharePoint environment, just go to the Microsoft website, download the patch, apply to your server, reboot your server, just to make sure that everything is done. And then also, I would also just start looking at, have you been compromised? Because patching is one thing, but making sure that you have not been compromised is another thing. So I would do something like a mini incident response, just to validate that there's nobody inside your environment already.
And what steps should government institutions take to prevent similar cyber attacks in the future, especially with widely used platforms like SharePoint?
So the best thing that people can do, and government organizations, is just to be proactive around the cybersecurity and getting a very good understanding of what you actually have on the internet. Because the main issue is for attackers is that they're always looking for the low-hanging fruit, and having systems that are internet-facing, these attackers will attempt to try and exploit. So being proactive in understanding what systems you have on the internet. Number two is applying patches, especially for systems that are internet-facing, just making sure that they're fully patched, and if there is a vulnerability, that you guys can respond very quickly. And then maybe the final one, without getting too long, is I will install something like a monitoring tool, like an EDR. So an EDR is sort of like an antivirus, an endpoint detection system, which can detect if somebody installs malware or some exe or some unwanted file hits the infrastructure to notify you. So those are things that companies and organizations can do just to be proactive on making sure that the environment is secure. And maybe the most very important one is try to limit what you actually expose on the internet as much as possible. So if a system does not need to be internet facing, rather put it behind a VPN.
Thank you so much. Such valuable insight there. Sibusiso Sishi, Technical Director at Ironsky.